Audio Jungle.
Hello, flock members. Badraven here today. We are going to do another review of a classic 80s horror. It is Poltergeist. This movie came out in 1982. I've got very, very fond memories of this movie. This was when horror really became mainstream. You had the Steven Spielberg name. It was produced by Steven Spielberg, and he had come up classics like E.T. and Jaws, and so everybody was really patiently waiting for anything with his name on it to come out. See, back then, when you saw Steven Spielberg, you automatically thought it was directed by him because his name was on it. He was a producer on this. This was directed by Tobe Hooper. He did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so he knew horror. He knew what to do with it, but they tamed this one down a little bit because it was PG. This is before the PG-13 rating was around. It's one of the reasons they created it. This one and the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Even back then, PG was a lot stronger than it is known today. And it had a lot of scary parts in it. It scared me as a child. Let me just kind of go through the people in it and we'll talk more about the movie. This is set around a family living in the suburbs, you know, where all the houses are like a foot apart. So there was the Freeling family, and the dad was Steve Freeling. So I like that name already, Steve, because it's like my own. It's played by Craig T. Nelson, a great actor. He's big now, but he was super big back in the 80s also. You got Diane Freeling. She's the mother. She was played by Jo Beth Williams. Very well trained actress. Dr. Lish was Beatrice Straight. You had Diana Freeling, which was the oldest daughter of the family, of the three children. Robbie Freeling is Oliver Robbins, was played by Oliver Robbins. And Carol Ann Freeling was the littlest daughter in the movie, played by Heather O'Rourke. And that was the basic ones. I'll name as Tangina, they're like the exorcist of the house. She was played by Zelda Rubinstein. She did a very good part, had a very good part in this movie. Like I said, it was made in 1982, and there's been some rumors about this movie that it wasn't real. It might have been directed by Tobe Hooper, then like Spielberg had his fingerprints all over it because it played more like his type of movie and toward the end of the movie. But I don't know. That's just a lot of conjecture and hearsay. I've not heard any definite proof that happened or not. But either way, it's directed by Tobe Hooper. I'll give you kind of a general rundown of the movie. Like I said, we really, really enjoyed this movie in the 80s. It was one of the first, probably the VHS tapes I ever bought. Sadly, I don't have that on VHS right now. But it revolves around the family, and I love the opening shot of this of the movie where it shows the kids playing in the suburbs there, where all the houses are close together and people jogging and people riding bicycles, and it just gives you that. I mean, it just harkens you back to the time of the 80s, and I really love that because that's my nostalgia kicks in big time. I was just watching the trailer for this to put this up on the TV, and it really brought back a lot of flood of memories. I'd like to go ahead and watch this again because it really brought back those nostalgic feelings. But it opens up with that, and it shows all the houses all in the subdivision close together. And back at that time when I was I said, why can't I live in the subdivision? Have all my friends right next to me, and we could ride bikes right next to our house on a sidewalk and everything. It would be really cool. And that's what I was thinking at the time when I watched it. But they open up with the house, and the dad has Steve is having all his friends over watching the big game, and you get to see floor model TVs in the houses, just like in the old days, watching their television. And they live so close to the neighbor next door that their remotes, back then the remotes, if you got within a certain distance of the TV, it would work somebody else's TV as the same model. And it has a little thing where it shows him, Steve character of Poltergeist, trying to watch the big game, and the neighbor trying to watch Mr. Rogers on his television, and they're like changing the channels on each other, and it's really a very good comical moment. That's why I like this too. It had comedy in it, but it was a very serious horror film also. But anyway, they're in this house. He's like a realtor person selling houses in the subdivision, and they're living there. They got the littlest girl, Carol Ann, the oldest daughter, and the middle child, this is a boy. And what I like about it shows the room. It shows the room of Carol Ann and the brother. It's really cool because I was showing my son all the 80s stuff he had in his room. He had the Star Wars collection with shaped like the Darth Vader. Something I always wanted as a kid. I never got it at the time. Money issues. But he put all his old Star Wars characters in the movie. He had Star Wars sheets on his bed. He had a Chewbacca poster or something on the wall in Star Wars stuff. And it was just really, really 80s. I ate it up when I watched this movie. And I always like to see those scenes again. But it shows their room and everything. And the little boy's afraid of the tree outside. He thinks the tree's always watching him, of course. And the little girl is constantly going downstairs, and in the middle of the night, the dad, I don't know if you know, back in those days, television didn't stay on 24/7 like it is today, kids. Back then, like at midnight, he would say each of the networks, which we didn't have a lot of networks back then, it was just ABC, CBS, and NBC. But at the end of the midnight, they'd say, we're going to, on the television, they'd say, we're ending our broadcasting for tonight, so we'll tune back in at 6 o'clock a.m. and we'll have some more broadcasting. And it would show national anthem, and it would show a few pictures of the jets flying and a bald eagle and all that kind of stuff, patriotic. And then it would just go to snow. And what I mean by snow, when like snowing outside, it was just the television picture would be them like a bunch of little snowy looking artifacts all over the television, and it make a sound like that. And that's how the TV would go off. The dad falls asleep at in the recliner. Carol Ann comes downstairs, and the snow is going on the television where the broadcast is ended for the day. She gets in front of the TV, and it starts. You start hearing her answering questions. You don't hear the questions being asked. You just hear her saying how old she is and all this stuff, and saying, I don't know. But anyway, it's just really creepy. Something's asking her questions on the television. The dad wakes up because he hears her answering questions, and he's like wondering what she's doing, and all of a sudden the other family members come down, and they're looking at her, and they can't figure it out. Well, the next morning, her mother asked her what was she doing, and she told her she was, who was she talking to, and she said the television people. That was very freaky. So for some reason, there's something in the house, some kind of poltergeist, which poltergeist means ghost, is in there, is talking to the little girl. And they're not quite, they don't think it's a ghost, of course. They just think it's some weird phenomenon going on in the house. But needless to say, I don't want to go into every detail of this movie, but they have some very good shots of the different things going on in the house, like the chairs moving, the little girl being dragged from one place to another in the kitchen, like she's sliding or something, and the mother figures it out, and they just can't figure out what that's all about. Well, he gets progressively worse. The little boy is scared of storms, and he's scared of the tree outside, and they're constantly, the dad has to get up and like get him back to sleep and stuff. Well, one night the storm gets really bad, and the tree attacks him, reaches in through the windows and picks him up and tries to physically eat the child. While that's going on and they're all confused, the closet opens up in that room also. A portal opens up, and she gets sucked into the closet, and nobody can find her. And the only way they can communicate with her is through the television. They get the little boy out of the tree, of course. Well, they can't find Carol Ann. They find out she's been somehow sucked into the television because the mother can holler at her. She answers her through the TV, the snowy TV. So they have to get some advice. They can't go to the police and say the TV ate her or whatever. Somehow she's in the TV. They think they're crazy. So they get some people at a local college or university studies paranormal to come in. They come in. They see how bad infested the room is. The doors are slamming on their own. They've got like things flying around. They can't understand because they come in, the paranormal inspectors, they're thinking like, oh, we filmed something like a truck moving over a 15-hour period. And they said, well, that's your biggest thing you've seen. Wait till you see my daughter's room. They take her up there, and literally, I say literally, they got Incredible Hulk riding a horse. I'm not kidding. Watch the movie here. It's right after the scene where the record's floating in the air in her bedroom, and like their little compass or protractor or whatever is playing the record when it goes by. I kid you not, the Incredible Hulk doll character toy is riding a play horse right in front of the paranormal person's face. I tell people that, they think I'm crazy, but you watch that scene in there, you'll see the Incredible Hulk riding a horse. I've watched this movie very closely. So they are freaked out. So they set up a bunch of cameras in there, and they're trying to catch glimpses of the ghosts. They see people, they see ghosts walking up the stairs. Looks like they're lost. They're like trapped. The woman says that they're trapped in this. They can't. Well, she said her story. They think that their ghosts has never got passed on, even though they passed away. They've not passed on into the light, whether they're going to heaven or hell, either one. But they are trapped on this earth, and that's why they are attacking the little girl. But all of a sudden, they hear something more sinister, and it's just like you can hear its feet. It's really cool. They do a lot of sound effects, a lot of cool stuff with the lighting, and it just adds a very unearthly and very disturbing feeling of something tromping through the house that they can't see, and it like you can hear the little girl being taken away where she can't talk to her mother. You don't see all this, it's in your mind, so you get to really create a very imaginative creature and everything. That's what I liked about this movie. You used a lot of your imagination to scare you even worse, because my motto is, if you can, in your mind, can be a lot scarier than whatever they can create in Hollywood. So you get a lot of your movies where they show you the creature, they don't let you create anything in your imagination, and it doesn't live up to what you think it should be, because your mind can really create scary things. So anyway, they know they're dealing with something a lot more menacing, and they bring in the heavy guns that I was telling you about with the like the Poltergeist queen herself. They bring in Tangina, which is played by Zelda Rubinstein. And Tangina comes to the house, and she's walking around the house, and she's exploring all the rooms, and she's asking them questions, the mother and the father, about their daughter and who disciplines her and everything like. And he's trying to answer, like she's in the opposite room, and he's trying to answer like through his mind to see if she can actually read his mind. And he's like, he's laughing because she can't hear him what he's, the answer. And she's upstairs, and she's like, hey, I'm talking to the living here. I know what you're trying to do. So she knows what he's thinking too. So she is a real, I don't know, what to call it, an exorcist, but she's a real paranormal seer, I guess, of this. She decides she's going to help him get Carol Ann out of this world. She explains to him that where these ghosts are all coming from in the house, they have not passed on to the other world, like I said. There's a creature in there with her, she said, and this is really cool the way she talks about it. This creature with her, and says that to her, the creature acts just like another little child, just like she is, talking to her and keeping her very close, because they know that this little girl has some kind of power of helping them, they think, go on to the other side. Well, this one creature doesn't want this to happen to all the other ghosts in there. It's keeping her, Carol Ann, away from all the other people to help them get to the light. And she explains it, Angina explains it in a great way, a very provocative way. She said, to her, this creature is just another little child. She said, but to us, it's the beast. And that was like, totally blows my mind when I think about it, watching it back when I was a kid, because that goes back to all your biblical revelations in the Bible and stuff about the beast. And it was really cool the way they brought that all in, and it makes your mind go totally in every direction of what this creature is doing to this poor little child in this other dimension. So they set up a big extravagant thing, and they send the mother in to rescue her. Needless to say, she gets out. I won't go into all the details. She gets out. The little girls, they think are safe for the time, and little you know, the creature is not gone. It reattacks the family, and you have some really cool scenes of a pool area where you find out that they're living in a very a bad place to live in, because they find out that they have built this subdivision over top of an Indian burial ground, or at least a burial ground. I don't think you find out about the Indian part till part 2. Ghosts are very upset with them. So they're like caskets coming up the ground. And I think one of the tidbits is like some of the skeletons they use, especially in the pool scene when all these skeletons are coming out floating, and Jo Beth Williams is like, the mother is like thrown in there where it's all muddy and everything, and they're all floating in the mud in the pool. I think they had actually real skeletons with some of this. It's what some of the trivia says. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it's really creepy. They end up getting out of the house. The house doesn't want to leave. They take the little girl with them, and the house like implodes into a little, like sucks it back into the portal. The really funny thing, they go to the hotel after that, and they check into the hotel, and like they close the door, and all of a sudden you see him take the TV and push it outside on the hallway deck of the hotel, and he closes the door. It says he doesn't want a TV around him ever again because of his daughter being abducted into one. So it's really a cool movie. I can't describe all the inner workings of it, but I think it's a kind of a scary movie that can get all, I mean, you can really bring it through, because for special effects at the time, it was really groundbreaking. You know, they had a scene where this guy's like, you know, got places on his face, and he's like peeling at his skin and peeling it off, and you get to see like a skeleton underneath. That's, you know, back now, if you look at it now, it looks probably pretty generic, but then it was really creepy and really scary. So they did a very good job with it, what I'm saying. So I want to kind of show you some of the media I got it on. I'll start with my DVD, and I'm pretty sure I've had this DVD for a while because it's got the old, you know, the old flip case thing. So I still have it. I don't have my VHS. Like I said, I'm sorry. Probably been sold years ago or lost or destroyed. But that's the front cover of it. And then you got the spine and the back. I'm going to open up the insides of it here. Get sure. I love those, all of those stuff, the chapters and stuff. The disc is scratched up pretty bad. I don't know if it'll even play correctly or not. I don't think. Yeah, it's got the wide screen. I think the wide screen on one side and the full screen on the other. Like a dual top disc. And that's my DVD of it. This is a more modern, the Blu-ray. I don't know if the transfer is good considering the age of the movie, but it probably needs a new transfer to be done eventually, because you know, with all the 4K stuff coming out, it would be neat to see this in 4K. Got the title and the back and your basic inner workings here. Poltergeist. There you go. And lastly, but not leastly, I want to get it out of here. I got my big laser disc of it, and I have watched this on my laser player. Still a very, very well taken care of copy. Love to blow up the picture. I love the part where she says, "They're here." When that's what the one part I left out, when she was at the television, and they were like, and the snow's playing, and she's answering the questions. They all come down there and look at her, and she turns around and says, "They're here." And that was really cool. But that's the back. The MQA thing. Love this movie. Okay, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. And like I said, every view we get here on the Badraven channel is very well appreciated. I appreciate your time to take out to watch my videos. And I want you to remember that we've got the Patreon account. Patreon is going to help us grow the channel more, get better equipment for you, the flock. If you go on there and you become an EBB member, and you say, what's an EBB member? That's the Elite Bad Birds member. You will get your name listed on all my future videos that you are part of this EBB, Elite Bad Birds member club, and I'll post your name at the end of the videos, and you'll for just $1 a month you can be known as that member. I would really appreciate it if you do. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. You know, the Badraven will always be here for the flock. Always videos will be available. But if you want to be a part of that exclusive club, just donate at least $1 a month. We would greatly appreciate it. If you don't want to make a donate, don't want to do that, like the monthly thing, we got the PayPal on my account. On the bottom of my picture, you can donate money whichever way you would like to do it. I would really appreciate any help you can give us. And I like to always say, and I always want you to remember, the Badraven is your friend, and we really hope you come back to watch more videos and tell your friends about our channel, because that's the way we can grow here. And we thank you for watching, and we'll let you go. And always, goodbye.